Hello, Wonderhussy here, camping at the base of mystical Mount Shasta. Okay, Mount Shasta is a 14,179-foot active volcano way up in Northern California at the southern end of the Cascade Range. And I guess the native Shasta peoples indigenous to this area, well, they didn't call it Mount Shasta. They called it Waka-nuni-tuki-wuki. That's right, Waka-nuni-tuki-wuki. It's not something out of Star Wars, it's the indigenous Shasta name for this amazing, well, I was gonna say mountain, but I guess technically it's a volcano. And an active one at that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first, you're probably wondering why I'm swanning about the forest in a white gown and a white turban, looking like the amazing Kreskin. Well, that's because, come to find out, Mount Shasta is a hotbed of New Age energy. Who knew? I just came up here because I needed a place to camp that wasn't 95 degrees. I came way up here. I think my campsite is around 7,000 feet because I wanted to escape the heat. And it's friggin' awesome. I'm camped in this area called the Sand Flats, which is basically this huge, well, sort of sandy, forested, flat area that's full of dispersed camping sites. There's campsites tucked all over in the trees, every which way, all around me, up behind me, any direction you go. And there's even cell signal. What more could a girl ask for? How about New Age energy? That's right, New Age energy. Grab your crystals, everyone. We're going to Mount Shasta. Okay, the reason I'm wearing this white gown is one New Age theory associated with this volcano is that there's supposedly this ancient race of people called the Lemurians who live in a system of tunnels underneath the mountain. I guess they have this magic city called Telos, the city of light, that's lined with fur and jewels, and these Lemurians supposedly can be seen occasionally walking around above ground in all white outfits. So, you know how they say, when in Rome? You never know if I'm going to run into some Lemurians out here. And so I might as well be dressed appropriately. I just happened to have this with me, believe it or not. And, well, if you know anything about me, you probably would believe it. I didn't know anything about this when I came up here. I just came up here because I needed a place to camp that was nice and cool. And I figured I would do a hike. And so this morning, before I went on the hike, I was doing some research into Mount Shasta, and I started reading about all this far out New Age stuff associated with this volcano. Like this whole thing with the Lemurians. I had never even really heard of the Lemurians. Well, I guess I'd sort of heard of them, but it's some conspiracy weirdness. Well, yeah, it's some weirdness, but it's very interesting weirdness. Apparently these people believe that there was an island or a continent in the Indian Ocean between India and Africa that sunk, I guess, many thousands of years ago, kind of like Atlantis, but the people who lived there were called Lemurians. And I guess when the island sank, they somehow migrated all the way over here to North America to burrow tunnels under Mount Shasta. Okay, I told you there's a lot of weirdness associated with this place, and that's not even all. It gets even better. Mount Shasta is also where this dude, Guy Ballard, was hiking back in 1930 and claimed to run into, well, Saint Germaine. Have you ever heard of the Count of Saint Germaine? I think it's actually pronounced Saint-Germain. It was a French-German wandering sort of adventurer, mystical adventurer back in the 1700s who hung out with Mozart and Voltaire. And I had never heard of Saint-Germain, or I'll just go ahead and call him Saint Germaine. I'd never heard of him until I randomly started researching Mount Shasta. So this dude, Guy Ballard, is hiking up here in 1930. The spirit or the actual physical form of Saint Germaine appeared to him and imparted all this wisdom. This Ballard dude ended up writing a bunch of books and starting a whole well, some would call it a cult, some would call it a religion, and they're still in practice to this day. In fact, I think they have a huge ashram at the very bottom of Mount Shasta in the town. They have some kind of retreat center, and I guess they come up here every year and do some kind of weird passion plays about Jesus Christ. It's a Christian cult, but I don't think they believe that Christ was crucified. I'm not sure of all the details. I just know all that supposedly happened up here on the hallowed slopes of Mount Shasta too. And again, how this Saint Germaine dude managed to manifest on the slopes of a mountain in Northern California 300 years after he died, well, none of that really makes any sense either, but I guess they say that Saint Germain or Saint Germain actually is the genesis of the age of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Well, apparently this dude, Saint Germain, Saint Germain, was somehow responsible for the age of Aquarius, or at least that's what some people believe. And guess what? There's more. As if all that weren't enough, Lemurians and dead French aristocrats wandering around hillsides isn't enough. Mount Shasta was also one of the main sites during the harmonic convergence in 1987. Okay, if you were around in 1987, and I was around, but I was a kid, so I don't remember hearing about this. Apparently there was this thing that actually sounds awesome called the harmonic convergence. Okay, some dude studied the ancient Mayan calendar and the planets, and he realized that on August 16th, 1987, all the planets were going to be in this certain configuration that where if he could get 144,000 people all around the earth to meditate at the same time, then a new era of peace could be achieved. I mean, do you guys remember hearing about this? It sounds absolutely wild. Apparently there was all kind of people out there meditating that day, including Shirley MacLaine, John Denver, Timothy Leary, you know, the usual suspects. But apparently even Johnny Carson had all the studio audience members at his show that night all chant Om together. Speaking of the amazing Kreskin, Johnny Carson was still on TV back then, and even he kind of got in on it, albeit as a joke. Although, what's to joke about when it comes to John Denver? Not much, if you ask me. Okay, anyway, there was 144,000 people meditating at points all around the world, but there were these certain spots that were considered to be power centers. And, people gathered at these power centers, like Central Park apparently was a power center, Sedona, Chaco Canyon, Stonehenge, the Great Pyramid in Egypt, Ayers Rock in Australia, Mount Fuji, and here at Mount Shasta. Anyway, unfortunately, apparently nothing came of this harmonic convergence. Obviously, world peace hasn't been achieved. I guess the guy who studied the Mayan calendar was also the same guy who predicted that the world would end in December of 2012. Do you remember that? That wasn't that long ago. 2012, I remember everybody was going down to those pyramids in Mexico, and a lot of people thought the world was going to end. Well, all of that had to do with the same guy who held this harmonic convergence thing. And, you know, people probably camped here at the base of the mountain, just like I'm doing, and probably dressed up not too differently from the way I'm dressed up. As a matter of fact, I'll bet you anything, Shirley MacLaine, well, I'm probably a doppelganger for what Shirley MacLaine was wearing. Anyway, unfortunately, it didn't work, but I don't think that dampened anyone's enthusiasm for the idea that Mount Shasta is one of these special power centers. You know, it's supposed to have some kind of special energy. Well, yeah, it's got energy. It's a friggin' giant volcano that's gonna blow any minute. And before it does, I think we should go for a little hike so we can see Mount Shasta up close and personal while it's still here. Okay, I had to change out of my white gown to go hiking. Hopefully, if I run into any Lemurians on this trail, they'll forgive me for wearing hiking boots. You know, it's just not that easy to hike in a white gown. Anyway, like I was saying, this is an active volcano. I think geologists figure that it erupts about every 600 to 800 years, and well, of course, we don't know the last time it's erupted. It hasn't erupted since the white man has started keeping records here, which was only like, what, 250 years ago? So who knows? It might have erupted 300 years ago. It might not have erupted for 1,000 years, and it might be due to blow again any second. In fact, the U.S. Geological Survey considers this a very high threat volcano. Who knew there was a ranking system for the threat of volcanoes? Apparently Mount Shasta is as high a threat as they get, and well, yeah, it's more complicated than every 600 to 800 years. And you'll have to excuse me huffing and puffing, but remember, I am at altitude. I think the trailhead here is over 7,000 feet, so you'd be huffing and puffing too. Anyway, I guess geologists have ways of determining by taking soil samples or whatever. Well, they figure that, yeah, it erupts every 600 to 800 years, but in like a cycle of several thousand years. So basically, it'll erupt every 600 to 800 years for several thousand years, and then it might go 3,000 to 5,000 years without erupting at all. So with any luck, we're in the middle of one of those nice, calm, peaceful periods. Anyway, despite the fact that this is not only an active volcano, but a very high threat active volcano, thousands of people try to summit this every year, okay? What did I say? It was 14,179 feet. Well, of course, these peak baggers like to go around and climb these super high mountains, and Mount Shasta is definitely a feather in any peak bagger's cap because it's really difficult to get to the top. I think something like 15,000 people attempt to summit it every year, but only like 1 out of 3 actually make it. And that's because it's covered with snow year round up top. Okay, not totally covered in snow, but there's a lot of snow up there even today. I'm shooting this on July 18th, and it's a warm day, but there's still plenty of snow up there because there's 7 glaciers. That's right, there's glaciers up here, 7 of them. And apparently, if you want to get to the summit, well, by golly, you have to hike up across at least, I think, a couple glaciers. And that means not only do you need to take the standard precautions when it comes to hiking at altitude, but you also have to bring, I think, ice axes and crampons. In fact, there were some dudes in the parking lot when I got here that looked like they were getting ready to head up on their own, and they were bringing skis. Okay, skis. I guess Mount Shasta is also very well known for backcountry skiing, and if you do somehow make it to the top, well, I guess you can ski down that face or one of the other faces. I don't know. As much as I do enjoy peak bagging, and I've bagged a peak or two in my day, anything that requires the use of ice axes, I'm just not that excited about. Even if there's a hot spring at the top. That's right, a hot spring, okay? If you know anything about me, you know, if there's anything I like more than peak bagging, it's hot springs. And there is a hot spring, or maybe more accurately, a fumarole, which is basically a boiling, steaming vent of air coming up through a puddle of mud, like you see in Lassen National Park in Bumpus Hill. I made a video on Bumpus Hill a few years ago, and you can hike to this area of fumaroles, and it's all bubbling, burbling, blubbling, steaming, stinking, sulfuric mud. But yeah, whatever you want to call it, stinking, burbling cesspit or fumarole, there is, technically, a hot spring at the top of Mount Shasta, which, incidentally, saved John Muir's life
one time. Okay, you know John Muir, the famous Scottish-American naturalist, explorer. He hiked all over the West. There's a bunch of stuff named after him. Well, I guess John Muir and his buddy were summiting Mount Shasta one day back in, oh gosh, I think it was like 1876. And it was April 29th, a beautiful, clear spring day. They figured it'd be a great day to do the hike. But when they got to the top, these storm clouds started gathering out of nowhere. And before you know it, they were trapped in a blizzard. And so I guess John Muir wanted to try to hike back down out of the blizzard as fast as they could. But the friend that he was with was also a very experienced mountaineer. And he was like, no, man, there's that one really sketchy, icy part. And if we do that in a blizzard, we're going to fall and die. We need to stay up here and hunker down on those fumaroles to survive. And so that's what they did. They both laid flat on their backs, I think, to get out of the wind, in the steaming, boiling mud, which incidentally, John Muir wasn't even wearing a jacket. That just goes to show you how cocky John Muir was. I guess he thought, oh, it's a fine spring day. I've climbed plenty of mountains. I'll be fine without a jacket. Lesson learned. Never climb a mountain without a, well, forget I said anything. Anyway, John Muir did not have a jacket, but his friend did have a jacket. They both laid on their backs to get out of the wind, and something like 2 feet of snow piled up on their chests. You know, because it was snowing so hard, and, well, their backs were nice and toasty. In fact, their backs were getting burned from the boiling hot, noxious gases emanating from the fumarole they were laying on. That's right, in addition to being in danger of getting burned, because that water is really hot apparently, they also had to worry about getting poisoned by the gases that are coming out. I mean, these are just vents coming from this active volcano. And, well, I guess the only thing that saved them from being poisoned was the winds. You know, the storm was real windy, and so it was blowing the gases away enough to where they were able to spend a very miserable night laying flat on their backs in this boiling mud with 2 feet of snow piled on their chests. I mean, they were freezing cold on top. They were scalding hot on bottom. I can't remember why they couldn't rotate, but man, they stayed like that for 17 hours. And I guess they helped keep each other from falling asleep, because, you know, if you fall asleep in a situation like that, it's curtains for you, man. You'll probably die of hypothermia, even if you're laying on top of a boiling fumarole. I'm not quite sure how that works. But anyway, it worked for John Muir and his buddy. They had to lay like that for 17 hours until the storm finally abated and the sun came out, and they were able to get up and hike all the way back down. Okay, I said a minute ago that John Muir was cocky. Well, I guess I'd be pretty cocky too if I had stories like that to tell. But anyway, the point of all that was just to say, yes, there is some kind of hot spring at the top of Mount Shasta, but even soaking in a stinking, muddy fumarole, once lain in by the great John Muir, isn't enough to get me to summit this mountain. No siree. Today I'm only hiking partway up the mountain to an old historic stone cabin called Horse Camp. So apparently, this cabin was built by the Sierra Club, you know, the environmental organization, which, well, depending on how you feel about the Sierra Club, that's either awesome or a terrible waste of money. But anyway, the Sierra Club built this cabin over 100 years ago, I guess as sort of like a halfway camp for people who are trying to make the summit. And I'm not sure why it's called Horse Camp. Maybe people used to or still do ride horses up here. Okay, first of all, it's in this absolutely beautiful setting right at the edge of the tree line. Beautiful little kind of Buddhist prayer flags hanging up, gives it sort of a Himalayan vibe. And then look over here. There's a natural spring flowing out of the ground, which is pure Sierra, I guess not Sierra snowmelt, Cascade snowmelt. It says, enjoy Shasta's pure water. Please don't pollute with coins, dishes, soaps. Okay, so they don't want you taking a bath in here or throwing anything in it. But look, there's a spigot over here where you can fill your water bottle with pure Shasta snow melt. I'm gonna fill my bottle up with some of this delicious Shasta snow melt. Anyway, this is just a really cool little oasis up here. There's a bunch of benches you could sit on in the sun, rest your pack, if you're hiking all the way to the top. And then look, here's the cabin. Oh my God, look how cool this is. Wow, look at this beautiful stone fireplace. Oh, I bet this place gets nice and toasty, even on a cold winter's day. Oh my gosh, look, there's a whole little lending library of books. It's locked, so we can't go. I wonder how you're supposed to read these books. There's all these cool books about John Muir and birds. Anyway, there's a little trail register here. Guess I should write my name. Wonderhussy, Death Valley, wonderful hike, and beautiful cabin. That pretty much says it all. Wow, there's people who come up here from all over the place. Look at that, Portland, Oregon, which isn't that far from where we are. Santa Cruz Mountains, Houston, Texas, Wisconsin, Los Angeles, Berkeley, Russia. Look at this. I think this says welcome in a bunch of different languages, because look at that. Salam, namaste, welcome, willkommen, bienvenue, bienvenidos, yokoso. Basically, everyone's welcome here in the horse camp cabin. Wow, I would like to spend the night here, because I'll bet you anything, all the campers kind of hang out here the night before they make their summit attempt, and well, there's probably a big old bonfire, or I don't know, maybe there's a fire ban in effect, but if there's no fire ban in effect, then there's probably a big old bonfire. There's probably a lot of whiskey and tall tales, and oh man, if I didn't find the idea of ice axes and crampons so thoroughly unpleasant, I would try to do it myself. Anyway, there's a bunch of information here about the 10 essentials that every hiker should carry. Extra clothing, extra food, sunglasses, knife, fire starter, first aid kit, matches, flashlight, map, and compass. I'm ashamed to say that I only have 2 of those things with me. Sunglasses and a little bit of food. But I mean, it's only a 1.5-mile hike. Nothing could happen to me on a 1.5-mile hike, right? Well, I don't think anything is going to happen, but it is such a beautiful, clear blue day that it is kind of tempting to go, oh, gee, maybe I should try to go to the summit. There's hardly any clouds in the sky. And then next thing you know, I end up like John Muir, huddled over a stinking fumarole. I don't think John Muir had any of these 10 essentials in his pack. Anyway, over here, there's a bunch of newspaper articles about, I guess, different people who have climbed Shasta. Like this guy apparently set the fastest time. 1 hour, 37 minutes. Oh my God. I cannot imagine. And then look at this. It says, this photograph shows the only horse ever on top of Mount Shasta. In 1904, this woman, I guess, managed to ride a horse all the way to the top. Oh, interesting. This is called horse camp. I assumed that was because people used to ride their horses to the top. I guess maybe people just used to ride their horses up here and hang out and party for the night, which frankly sounds way more fun to me. Anyway, then there's a bunch of lost and found Nalgene bottle, found black gloves. Oh no, found brown pants with Lexus car keys inside. Yikes. Oh no, lost black wedding band. Boy, I bet his wife's not too happy about that. She probably didn't want him to come out here anyway. Why do you have to go hiking that crazy mountain? You might die. You might have to spend the night on top of a stinking fumarole to survive. He's like, oh, honey, I'll be fine. Oh, I gotta get away for the weekend. The nagging old bag. Then he comes up here, loses his wedding band, and, well, he might not even need that wedding band anymore, let's just say. Anyway, yeah, there's these locked storage cabinets, a bunch of them. I wonder if it's like food, first aid supplies, and if so, why is it locked? What if somebody was in danger and needed first aid? How are they supposed to get it out? And then what's this? Look, there's a big 5-gallon bucket full of these bamboo sticks with little red flags on them. Are you supposed to, oh, maybe they put those to mark the trail when it's covered in snow? Gosh, I don't know. And then look at this wand tool. What the heck is a wand tool? That just makes this place seem even more like some kind of magical wizard's cabin at the top of this volcano. You know, this whole place just sort of seems like something right out of Lord of the Rings. Look here, here's a couple guys that are about to hike to the summit and ski down. Are you guys insane?
Yeah, probably.
Wow, so how much do you figure your packs weigh?
Too much.
60 pounds?
Too much is the real answer.
Wow, so that's all your overnight gear, plus your skis and boots. I guess you didn't really have to bring drinking water much, huh?
No, well, we're going to carry it up though.
So you're just going to drink melted snow at the top?
That's the plan.
Oh, dang.
Try to carry it into this.
Oh, right. Oh, and that's your ice axe?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Now I know that I will probably never summit this mountain, but I salute you boys.
Thank you.
For your fortitude, and I look forward to hearing the full report when you get back down. Look, here's the trail these dudes are about to go up, the summit trail. I guess you hike all the way up the face of this. Well, that's not even the summit that we're looking at. Apparently when you get to the top of that, there's another hill just beyond that called Misery Hill, and I'm pretty sure that's aptly named. Okay, well, I guess follow wands to Hidden Valley. Oh, maybe those bamboo sticks with the red flags were wands and they lead the way to Hidden Valley, but I don't see any wands out here. It looks like a regular trail. And as enticing as that trail looks, well, I think it's actually already something like 5 o'clock, so I'm just gonna bid adieu to this little stone cabin and these two ballsy dudes about to hike to the top and treat myself to an ice cold ranch water. That's my idea of having fun. Some folks like hiking to the top of a glacier with ice axes and crampons. Some folks would rather just relax. Cheers.